Welcome back, everyone. My name is Anthony. This is my shop. This is my channel. And I got some content for you that I want to share. This is the 19 Ford Transit 250 3.7. And I hear a lot of people rattling on the keyboard. Oh, Cataclean saved my car. Catalytic fixed my catalytic converter. Catalytic did this. Cataclean did that. Your catalytic converter should never become contaminated if you're doing proper maintenance. A Cataclean is just cleaning your fuel system. It's not really cleaning the catalytic converter, and we can argue this for days and days and days. There should be no liquid in any form going through your catalytic converter other than combustion byproducts, which is a little bit of moisture. I don't really know what the chemical makeup of Cataclean is. Cataclean is not going to fix damaged catalytic converters. Let me show you what I'm going to say. And for the consumer who really doesn't know any better, to buy a $20 bottle of, a fix in the bottle, right? This little bottle is going to fix your car. This is going to fix your cat efficiency codes. Even those cheater sims that they use, it's not a fix. Okay, you don't know what's going on in the catalytic converter just by you popping a spacer between your oxygen sensor and that. And this is another reason why you need a professional look at your car. This is the inlet side of the catalytic converter. This is the upstream oxygen sensor or air fuel sensor, depending on what year and generation of the vehicle it is. This is a wideband. The byproducts of combustion, exhaust, is coming through here. Then it's hitting the first stage of the catalytic converter. And then this catalytic converter is going to convert whatever's going on up from combustion inside the catalyst, right? And then it's going to have an oxygen sensor in here that says, hey, what is going on between these two sensors? Something should be happening. It should be producing more oxygen at the back at this signal, which is a waveform pattern that is almost opposite of the front waveform pattern. I'm not going to get too technical. Meaning this oxygen sensor and this one should not be doing the same thing. They should not be twinning. I'll call it twinning for simplicity. They should not be twinning in its waveform data. Then once it hits this part, the computer is saying, hey, what's going on based on the programming? Then it's going to hit another stage of catalyst that's not monitored and going out the tailpipe. Okay? Ultra low emissions vehicles or lower emissions vehicles are saying, hey, we're sampling a smaller part of the catalyst for efficiency to see what's going on. Therefore, they don't last as long if you don't maintenance your car, use good gasoline, basically all the shit that nobody does to their car, and this is why it happens. So let's move forward. Inside this hole, what you see inside there is catalyst. So the front catalyst brick up here has slid out of place, and you can see that the oxygen sensor is just wearing its way up. So as the catalyst is sliding down with exhaust pressure pushing it, and believe it or not, it is doing this. And it's just banging against the oxygen sensor tip, which is basically a stop. You see that? It is very unlikely that it's this substrate moving forward. It's usually the front one is coming loose for some reason or another, and these catalysts today are very well designed OEM that they don't suffer vibration damage. So it's raw fuel, raw oil, antifreeze. Something happened to overreact this substrate, and typically what happens is it gets so hot it swells to a certain point, and then as the engine cools off it goes back, and over a period of time of it expanding and contraction outside of its operating ranges, it starts to fail and come apart. So inside of here, the O2 sensor kept it from sliding down any further. Eventually it would just plug and come apart. But what happened now is saying too much oxygen is passing the O2, too much heat is passing the oxygen sensor and not enough oxygen, and it pitches an efficiency code. Cataclean will not restore your catalyst for missing substrate. And this is the misconception. If your engine's burning oil and it's using antifreeze, you don't do any maintenance, Cataclean is a temporary band-aid. If you don't fix the root cause, you never know. And just putting a spacer on this and not fixing this, not knowing what's going on, this is slowly clogging the substrate downstream, and it doesn't always just blow out the tailpipe. It gets lodged in other places. So having a pro look at it, and I always say this on some cars, hey, it needs to come down and be inspected if we suspect oil fouling or oil plugging, and there's no resolution for that other than engine replacement. But this is great content that I can bring to you, that the substrate has moved out of place for some reason and is banging against the rear O2 sensor. So I'm actually going to cut this apart. So if you want to see how we're going to do this, let me get you propped up. Any of you guys watch Skinny Joey's? Skinny Joey cheesesteaks, South Philly. Many GQ magazines ago, when I had earrings and jewelry and went out 3-4 nights a week to the clubs and strip clubs. We used to hang out with him and Margate way back in the day. Probably doesn't remember me and the crew that we ran with, but his content is spot on for 2025. If you haven't seen any of his content with his cheesesteaks and talking about the rats and the other cheesesteak business, you know, there's actually some really good content, and people seem to love it. So if you haven't checked him out, Skinny Joey Cheesesteaks in South Philly, you can find him on Facebook, TikTok, all over social media. Good job, bro. Good stuff. So let me get to this part. So I'm going to cut this apart. How about that? Just sometimes you can't fucking win. Really? Let's try it over here.